Welcome back, everyone. Okay, I'm sure you've heard the line before. Bosses, perhaps some of the older bosses saying, don't hire the 20-somethings. Why do they say that? Well, I think there's a lot of reasons, and many of them are laid out in the article. We could say it's things like they don't have the best manners. They are more knowledgeable about their rights, workers' rights and social rights than any other previous generation. They are apparently less skilled, more clueless, or less able than previous generations. They have a tendency to do something which we in English call quiet quitting, which is doing exactly what it says on the contract and no more, just keeping to the terms of your work contract, never going above and beyond. Sometimes even having parents call in to complain to superiors or other bosses, being lazy, being uninterested in work. So all of these criticisms of the 20-somethings, I'm sure you've heard before. But how much truth is there in these accusations? I think many, even the person who was writing this article said, of course, not all of the younger workers are like this. But I think also other commenters said, well, actually, maybe this is going too far. These are way too harsh. Maybe we do have isolated cases, but trying to generalize this as all the 20-somethings or even the majority of 20-somethings is going way over the top, way too far. So that's one side of it. Or I think towards the end of the article, it was more looking at what has changed in the attitudes between the old and the young and the way they conceptualize work that is perhaps causing a misunderstanding between older and younger employees. Is it really that they're lazy or not diligent, or are they working in different ways? Do they have a different perception of the work environment? So yes, I have a lot of feelings, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm trying to keep it unbiased up to now, tell you both sides of the story. But yes, let's get into some questions so we can cautiously share our opinions. Okay, so let's start from a broader angle. What are some generalizations that people make about various age groups in America? The young, the middle-aged, the elderly.
I see. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some similarities with younger people. In the article, there is something that says MZ generation. This is not an English word. This is a Korean concept. If it catches on one day, fine, we can use it. But for now, it is not caught on. The M stands for millennial or Gen Y, and the Z stands for Gen Z. Those ideas do not get put together in English. We can just say like younger people or younger generations is what we can say instead. So for the younger generations, it's basically the same. Lazy, inexperienced, don't want to work hard. Rude is another one, right? For middle-aged, I think we said something in the article about it being placed on those younger generations, but I think in America, middle-aged are seen as kind of a, how do I say, giving up status, like maybe they were a little bit more passionate when they were young, but they're also not at the high end of things right now either, like the older end of things. So they don't have that old person power, but they don't have that young person passion. They're just in between. That's kind of how it's seen, almost like a gray area. And then of course, elderly people are disrespectful, don't understand. These are the negative thoughts, stereotypes, by the way. Out of touch with reality, things like that. Yeah.
Similar in many ways.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just a worldwide phenomena.
Yeah.
For generations, like, sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, go on.
Because I feel like this has happened back 50 years ago, 80 years ago. There's even accounts of it being in ancient times of older people complaining about younger people's laziness. So if we really were getting lazy over the last 5,000 years, we should be doing nothing right now. But we are. So maybe there's a slight miscommunication there as well.
Yeah, it's got a lot to do with perspective and perception. Yes. Things change, but we don't actually stop working or work less.
Yeah.
So, okay, one of the targeted complaints was rather, to me at least, was rather funny, that the older generation were worried or they disliked the fact that the younger generation were too focused on their rights.
Yeah. Discuss.
Discuss. What are the pros and cons? What are the pros and cons of being very focused on your rights?
So I wanted to play some devil's advocate here because obviously with my mindset, I'm thinking if you put it in the contract, you should never expect anyone to do differently than the contract, period. You should base the contract on what your business needs, not below that and then expect them to do more. That's just a concept I have. But if we're playing devil's advocate and if we're thinking about the reality of most or almost all workplaces, being strict on either side has pros and cons. Being too strict as a boss is going to make you lose employees. Being too strict as an employee about your rights or whatever is going to lose you work or make it harder for you to get work. It's just like tattoos shouldn't matter for most jobs, but they do. Disabilities shouldn't matter for a lot of jobs, but they do. Looks shouldn't matter for a lot of jobs, but they do. So if you're trying to base it in just the unfortunate reality, there's going to be cons about being too strict about your rights as an employee.
Yeah.
That's my devil's advocate take.
I like it, yes. I think it's not perfect. It's not a perfect system.
Yeah.
But I think the main problem is it's just a different system to what older generations are used to. And so the understanding is what is, or the communication, the ability to grasp the concept is the battleground, I think.
Yeah.
But then, you know, by the time the young generation have got to be all grown up and become the older generation, things will have changed again, and the new young ones will be doing it in a totally different way, and the rights-focused older generation will be very upset about it.
Maybe we'll be like, "Why are you working so much? Go home!" And they'll be there all night working so hard, and we're like, "What are you doing? I hate this."
Look at these people; they pay no attention to their family. They should be put in jail.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so true. Absurd, but true.
Life is quite absurd. Yeah. But what is not absurd is the English language. Yes, that is the cornerstone of our reality. We must hang on to it. Make sure you are well versed. And then you can vent your ideas and emotions in your second language and think about how satisfying that will be. And come back and see us in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye.
20-something.
20-something.
Gross generalization.
Gross generalization.
Incompetent.
Incompetent.
Reprimand.
Reprimand.
Reflect.
Reflect.